Record.
All right.
Yay! So welcome to Kristen Clark Unmasked. Today I have the enigmatic, the vivacious Gina Mallison. And Gina and I have been trying to get together for a while. I've been trying to hook my little fingers into this girl for a podcast. And everything's always perfect timing. And what I love more than anything is that every single person that's been on this podcast has like going, do you know Gina? And I love that people go, I heard my name on your podcast.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing.
Like, yes, I know Gina. Yes, and it's going, and when her and I get together, it is going to be magic like we've never seen. It's going to be so big, so amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that you are here. So I am going to let Gina follow her own impulse and tell you about herself, what she does, if she feels like she wants to do that. And so I'm handing it off to you, my dear.
Thank you. So Gina Mallison's my name and alignment is my game. How's that? Yeah, alignment, calibration. So, I mean, really, I love that, like, who am I? And like, who am I is this person that this is my passion. This is my joy. This is my fullest expression is like, in a big way, I think I relate to Jerry Hicks a lot in the sense that he was always asking. And, like the story of his life, like he worked in a circus at one point, right? Like he's like, right? I feel like I had that same thing. Like, I don't like have ties to so many things. I'm so open to exploring. And when I landed on the teachings of Abraham Hicks just like 5 years ago, like I knew it was like jackpot. This is it. This is what I've been searching for my whole life. Like literally, I'm a seeker, and like I've passed through so many different things. Right before finding Abraham Hicks, I had like a 2-year stint like into like Tony Robbins and Landmark. And there was something always really off about those programs. There was like, it was the closest I got to like, ooh, but it was still off, and it really wasn't working because it was those final 2 years before I found this that everything came crashing down for me. And isn't that lovely though? Isn't that the way it goes for a lot of people, where things have to get so bad? And when it's so bad, you have so much desire. When there's that desire, when you ask, it is given. So even I was like, when it lands, like, you hear the stories of people, they're in the bookstore and the asking it is given book falls off and hits them on the head. Like that didn't happen to me. I kind of wish it did. But what happened to me was so freaking magical, because what happened, I'll tell the story a little bit. Where, so 5 years ago, I decided to, like mid 2015, I decided to take this course in something called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, and Hypnosis and Reiki. It was a 2-week course for like becoming a life coach and learning these and having these as tools. And by that time, I still hadn't like discovered the Abraham Hicks. Like I knew of them, but I didn't, but on the second day of that course, we started with doing the NLP. And on the second day of that course, I was like, holy shit, this is the secret to the secret. Cause I know the secret, like I've seen it. And these techniques we're doing, like, how do people not know this? How does everybody not know this? And so then it was like, okay, this is law of attraction. So then I went back into the secret, and then very quickly, within probably days, really discovered Abraham Hicks, and they're the fountainhead of the information. Like the secret is I call it like a really good bridge for people that are kind of unaware of the magic or not remembering it, and get into it, but it's missing so much of the stuff like source, inner being, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
The thing I love about The Secret, because like, again, it's a great bridge because I don't feel it has like incorrect information, which a lot of law of attraction stuff out there is like, that's not quite it. But they have what's it, but it's just missing a large and very important piece of the pie. So once emotional guidance system, inner being, vortex, like all that stuff. So, I just dug into the Abraham Hicks material, like how much appreciation I have for the fact that with their copyright, they allow people to, the reason why there's so many Abe Hicks videos available on YouTube is because they allow people in their copyright rules for the Abraham Hicks to allow up to 15-minute segments to be posted. And that just, because of course I got all their books and I've listened to their books over and over again, but the YouTube is such a great place to like go to the search bar and type Abe Hicks or Abraham Hicks and then whatever topic you're chewing on, right? And then there's dozens of different segments kind of asking about the same topic, but in different ways. So you get this holistic perspective that's so good. And like literally no joke, I swear it's got to be at least 8,000 hours, if that's like probably a low number of what I've consumed from Abe Hicks material over the last 5 years. And it's just because it really, as I do this work that I do with clients, and I continue to have more and more questions because there's a never ending to the questions, right? You get that answer and oh, that clicks in. And now I have another question. And what about this? And it's a different variety of clients come and work with me. It's just expanded my knowing and understanding and my own steadiness and just helped me kind of, I don't want to say perfect my craft because it's not, there's nothing gets but it is perfect and it's expanding. It is perfect and it's expanding. So anyway, so I don't know. I almost was going to reach out to Ramona Gailey yesterday. The thought occurred to me because it really hadn't before. Her and I, it was actually in a session. She had me ask some questions for her to Oprah about what she should call herself because she didn't feel right with coach or teacher. And so it was this magical session. I think I'm very sure she talked about it on your show.
Yes.
And we hit on vibrational mentor. And yesterday because I had this amazing session yesterday with Bridget Singer. Have you heard of her?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So she started to channel now. By the way, she's the person we bought our beach house from a year ago.
Oh.
Anyway, it's like super serendipitous story. But I had a session with her where she was channeling for me and like so much stuff clicked into place where like, I feel like I'm ready, rather than calling myself a coach or a teacher, it's more like a mentor because it's like, by my example, and also like when people come to me and they're in a wobble, it's like, sometimes before I take them through an exercise, I kind of just share what my perspective is or what I see that their inner being's perspective is in a mentor way, not trying to like coach them or teach them, but here's just some other ways to think about it. Now let's take you through this process and see what you discover for yourself. It's not about telling them anything. It's about their own self-discovery in learning that they get the answers for themselves when they allow themselves to let go and connect. And so that's, if anything, I want to just be that example of that connection, what can happen when you live in more of the connection and allow more, and that the contrast is wonderful part of the journey too. And you can have this, Wiola is another channel I'm really into right now and have done private coaching and go to their workshops. And it just continues to expand on the Abraham Hicks message. It's not different. It's complement. It's just another way to look at it. And what Wiola talks about is a question answer dance, the eternal, never ending, beautiful question answer dance, and finding the way to dance through that like infinity loop with more ease and knowing and steadiness. So when you go back into question, you're doing it in a softer way because you have more of that steady connection with that answer vibration. But you allow yourself to focus because there's no fear of any, because you can just, how to connect again. And, so I don't know if I'm just making any sense at all to anybody listening, but like, I feel like I'm all over the place, which that's who I am. But so I'm not going to call myself this yet, but I would love to call myself vibrational mentor. I want to talk to Ramona about that, but I'm a law of attraction coach. And really what I've come up with in the last 3 or 4 months, which has been beautiful, like really just bubbled up or popped out of my vortex, is that because what I do with clients isn't actually NLP as it's taught as it's known or as anybody else that I've seen do NLP uses it. I've never seen anybody use it in this way. So but it's the process. Like there's, and within the NLP world, there's like hundreds of different processes or ways that you can apply the techniques, really unlimited. But there's a few that I found that are just so simple and beautiful and effective and smooth and fast. I mean, somebody can calibrate in 5 to 10 minutes of like this exercise of learning how to go within and feel their emotional guidance system. People get to learn what their emotional guidance system feels like, what the different variety. They get to realize, oh, it's not just happy with it. Like on the top level, like there's all these nuances of different flavors and an infinite combination of how these flavors and energies can dance together and what it creates in your life and your relationships. And same with the lower vibration. You know, it's not just mad, sad, or depressed. It's this whole thing. And let's not be afraid to look at something that's caused this contrast, not be scared or ashamed to say, this situation makes me feel like this. Sometimes people, especially that know Abraham Hicks, don't want to, like, you know, it's like almost like the happy face sticker on the gas tank, right? But here's the thing, when you have a focused intent with somebody else to calibrate, you don't want to look at that contrast to look at it or try to figure it out. But if you are doing it in with an intent to lift it up and see it from a new perspective, from a place of steady, like that's the work. And so that's what I do with clients using these techniques. I've created something that I call the evoke method. One of my clients got the divine, like, boop, land in her head, because she knew, like, she was here at the retreat that I did with Viola and Costa and Armand and Karen here at my house back in a few months ago. And she was the one person that was in person. There were a few online, but she came and it was so beautiful. And we all just got so close, and it felt like it was always us that was going to be there, and that we've all known each, when Abraham tells a story of Jerry and Esther being in Boston with their close friends, and so something about, they ended up at the statue of, I don't know who it was like the guy that was like, I forget, but they all realized, oh my gosh, we're all that, like, that's me. But they're all like, that's me. And, you just feel like you come from the same energy stream, but you all are uniquely different. And anyway, so my client, Miyusha, beautiful inside out, just so delicious. She had known, anyway, within a week or two after that retreat, she was like, it's the evoke method. And she actually, on our next session, she's like, let me share my screen. And she brought up this presentation she made with these colors and the evoke method. The definition of evoke in the Webster's dictionary is something like to recall to one's conscious mind. And I just got chills, because what I feel like I'm doing is that I'm recalling to somebody's conscious mind their connection with source and their inner knowing's perspective on the situation. They're bringing that, so they're not unconscious in a pattern anymore. They're consciously bringing that connection to that situation. And then that's when everything, it was like so perfect. I'm getting chills right now. So, and so as I think about this, I have in 2021, like, with such clarity, I see, and this is something that's funny because a year ago, Oprah said she saw this in my vortex, and I was like so resistant. I was like, oh no, I'm not teaching this. I'm not teaching, right? And now it's so clear, and so clear how I will teach it. It's actually so simple. It's a process of identification. So the evoke method, I break it down into a 3-part process, right? The first part is identification. Like, you want to identify what's the wobble that I want to calibrate, right? Out of the different, and you don't even have to go back far in time. If you have a wobble, it's showing up in your now reality. Look in the last week. When was a time you were quote unquote triggered and you got angry or said something sharp or whatever? And so identify that. And then I have the person close their eyes and go back to like this instance that they told me that happened. Close your eyes. And I want you to really feel that icky emotion. Like it's actually an encouragement. I want you to fire it up, activate it, feel where it is in your body. And then with their eyes closed, I have them start focusing so much on the vibration, the emotion in their body, that they actually end up taking their focus off the story, because it's not about the story anyway. The story was just a manifestation of this vibration that's actually irrelevant. If you try to go in the story, you'll just, anyway. So I have them focus so much on the feeling in their body. I ask them like, where is it? Is it heavy, light, or medium? Is it moving at all or still? What color is it? What's it made out of? What shape is it? Like literally, they begin to now be able to actually see it as a thing as they are feeling it. And then one by one, little step by little step, I have them change this little thing about it and this little thing. Like I always start off with color because that's just the easiest. And I say, well, instead of like black, what color would feel better? And it's their choice. This is like a really important piece of the thing. I'm not asserting my thoughts like, oh, I bet white would feel better. No. What color would feel better? And I might give them some suggestions, like even glitter sparkles counts as a color, or you can make it rainbow or just white or whatever. And so they'll do that. And then once they change it, I have them sit with it and look at it and notice, does that feel a little bit better, worse, or the same? And it'll feel a little bit better. And then I say, well, let's change what it's made out of. And then they change that. And does that feel? So you know how Abraham says on the vibrational scale, they'll have exercises of like climbing you up, but sometimes it's hard to climb up the vibrational scale if you're just focused on the story and just trying to change the narrative in your head. This gets rid of the story and it becomes this abstract thing that you're just playing with, feeling better and better and better. And what they end up getting in like 5 or 10 minutes of this is literally connection with the feeling that was on the other end of the stick of that one, without me guiding them to anywhere. Like they just, I feel a little better. And then they end up with this thing that they're like, I can tell their shoulders dropped, they're breathing. And I say, what is it that you're feeling now? Look at this thing. And what is the emotion you feel? And it is what it is for them. And it's always that other end of the stick. And then we kind of expand that emotion out. Where do you feel that good, yummy emotion in your body? What color is it? What if you double it? Like, oh, and then what other, so I get them so connected with that. And they're so disconnected from the thing we even started with on the identification step. But so then I'm there to guide them while they're so connected in their body to imagine going back in time, feeling this way, replacing that old you with this you, and just notice what's different. Don't try to make anything different, but just notice what, and it's like they just see so much of like, oh my gosh, like it was never about me. Oh my God, I feel like I don't, whatever it is, like they see what's there for them to see. And then I have them kind of future pace it, or kind of like what might be different next time you hang out with this person or whatever. And that's the calibration, is the movement I make with the actual process. So step 1 is integration. Step 2 is the calibration. And that third step, when I have them, it's called integration. And that's when I have them take that connection and go back in time to that thing. And now let's also look at the future and how this might be different. That's the integration part, which is super, super critical. Like that, because a lot of, it's like I was talking to somebody yesterday about integration. In fact, it was Rochelle. Like she's on my Facebook page. I put a picture, my lovely, amazing, yummy friend. Rochelle was over last night and she's super into this too, at the same level I am. It's like not even funny. And we were talking about integration and how important that is, because if you just take your mind off the subject, and which is this is not saying that this is not good. Like if you're in a triggered moment, you want to pivot as quickly as you can, catch it early and pivot.
Yes.
But and connect back up with source, go meditate, or maybe take a yoga class, and then like you're reset. But then if you don't like integrate that feeling that you got there back on that subject, there's nothing went wrong, but you're not going to have the improvement that could be there for you. Viola talks about it like a point of contrast or resistance. That resistance is like a pebble in your shoe. And you want to be sensitive enough to notice that pebble in your shoe before it gets really, really sharp. But there's magic in that pebble. You want to be joyful that you found that pebble, and you want to take it out now and calibrate so the magic can be released from that little pebble. Like that's where the big gift boxes can
Oh, I love that.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. Yeah. So there's just juicy discoveries for people to be made. And you know, I love the big stuff. You know, I love the little stuff too. Don't get me wrong. Oh my gosh. I will tell you, Lindsay, you had Lindsay on. Oh my God. Lindsay's one of my best friends, Lindsay Cooper. She was on another earlier podcast with you, and she and I are off the freaking hook. Like we are the same energy. We do this Marco Polo thing. 2 days ago, we were like Marco Poloing every like 20 minutes and just dancing. But then like the serendipities that we would experience together, and then it just kept extending out to like the serendipity that her and I shared actually was a moment. Like, let me tell you, okay, because I don't know if you're going to publish this video of the podcast too, but
yes,
Lindsay is magical. Yes, so she's an artist, and I love her art, first of all, and I love puzzles, and she does these amazing puzzles with any piece that I love of that she drew. I'm like, put it in a puzzle form, and she's like, it's there, buy it. And I'm like, dude. And so here's a puzzle, but she doesn't just give it in the puzzle box. She takes it out of the box once she gets it shipped to her and creates like all these, oh yes, look at these little puzzle pots and stuff, like all these cute things. And she hides little goodies in it and draws hearts, and there's feathers. It's like literally like playing with a little girl when you're a little girl and your best friend, and you're just drawing hearts over stuff and loving them. And so in this was this thing wrapped up and stuck in there. And I pop this off, and this glitter comes out, and I pop it out, and it's a snow globe. And this little guy was covered in like some kind of paper, and the instructions, so I didn't know what this little guy was, were to add 3 ounces of water and shake, and you do that and the paper turns to snow. It's the coolest thing. So anyway, I had opened this like 10 minutes before I had a client appointment. So I was just all jazzed, and how cute is that? And I had it on my desk, and I'm doing this session with this client, lovely, lovely client. And we're transforming that feeling in her body, calibrating it. And again, so it's like, what material do you want to turn it to? She wanted to turn these metal balls into glass, like spheres. And then we had her pop it out and then just play with it, like change this. And she goes, well, you know what? It's kind of like snow globes. And I was like what? I was like, and then when she was done, and I said, go ahead and open your eyes. And I was holding this in your hand. I was like, literally 10 minutes before this appointment, I opened this magical snow globe from my friend that just love bombed me with it. And I mean, but see, here's the thing. It's like stuff like that. Like I tell my husband, he's like, and right. But Lindsay and I see that, like, it's so like, we love it. Like, we're not like making it something, like we see the something of it. Like it is, and it's everywhere. And when you see that stuff, it is with everywhere, and people are in on it that don't know. Like this client of mine he need to know, oh my God, we had this other thing the night before with slots. And it just literally blows my mind. But then, you know, the really cool thing about all that, of how like we just jive and our vibes are so high all day, like that's when the big stuff, then boom, like big stuff for me, for my clients. Like my client the other day told me that like she wasn't, like we see each other almost every week, and her last year has been so fucking phenomenal, like just out of this world, and it just keeps getting better. She hadn't been telling me that, like she decided a couple weeks ago to I'm just like, I'm conscious not to say her name because it hasn't been announced at the company, but like to apply for this promotion that is like unheard of. For the length of time she's been there, just over a year, you don't apply for this position. Like you're there for 3 years maybe before you do it. But like she felt the impulse, and even her boss did too. And she fucking nailed it to like a degree that like she was for sure number one out of all 15 people that applied. So much so she caught ladies' attention of like, I want you on my team. And like she just like the amount of money that she's going to be getting plus stock options, like tens of thousands. Like what? Like it's just, it's just like, and so it's so fun. And I get the big stuff in my life. I see people around me get big stuff, even people that aren't clients. Like one of our friends that we hung out with last week, like had just the most serendipitous, there was no coaching involved, just hanging out with some high vibing people that like don't talk about the stuff you don't want. And so anyway, yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm like going off on all these different.
This is you though.
Yeah.
This is what my freaking podcast is about.
Yes.
Is
yes.
Let this flow.
Oh, baby. Flow.
And you were in so much flow. You were in so, and you too.
Oh.
And the first time I saw you, I was
when was that? When did we first connect?
The first time I saw you, connect vibrationally.
Okay.
I was doing a Zoom with a client, and Sanjala was there.
Oh yes,
as my guest speaker.
Yes,
and she put up the video of the sectional video of you and Lindsay talking about all the money that she was making.
Oh yes, right. Oh yes.
And I was just so enwrapped in the both of you. I was just like going, oh my gosh, here's something so big. And of course, Lindsay's
like flashing her cash and like, look at this check, and she's moving, and I'm just like, what? Are you kidding me? Another check? Yeah.
Well, and what was so cool was like the first little video, you were like going, yeah, that's normal. Yeah. And then the next one, you're like, wow. Yeah. And with each one, you got more and more excited.
Woo.
I know. Yes. And then when the $1,800, she
direct deposit. Yes.
Yeah, automatic.
It's like,
deposit. I know.
And what you just said there is a great description. Yeah, she was totally like, I'm like sweaty armpits by the way, but it's like a little heart.
But you went, Lindsay, Lindsay. Oh my God. The whole thing, I can't tell you how many times I played that over and over, because it was one of those things that just, no matter where you are, it zooms you right into your vortex.
Yes.
It just pulls. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It just pulls you into your vortex.
Yes.
And I'm just like going, oh my God, these two are so much fun.
Yeah.
And I had just made that morning the decree to the universe that from here on out, I want to interact with high vibing visionaries.
Yes.
Not just high vibing abers. I want the visionaries. Yes. I want the people that are on the leading edge and taking the step off.
Yes. Yeah.
That are using
that moving that leading edge out with source together, that ever expanding leading edge, and just dancing on that edge, baby. Dancing. Disco lights and glitter, saying, come and join us on the edge. It's fun if you want, or you can stay back there, whatever.
You can be on the wall. That's fine. We're out on the dance floor here.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love, because just from watching you guys, inspiration, ideas, those kind of things flow. Yeah. And I love what you had said earlier about the contrast, how beautiful that is. Mm-hmm. Because yesterday I took a little joyride down into some of the deepest, gnarliest, darkest contrasts I've been in a long time. And what it launched, I love, you know who Bashar is, how they'll talk about the slingshot. Just getting pulled back. So tight that if you release it, and that's why it feels icky, because you're getting pulled and pulled and pulled. And I loved that, because in that moment, this is the first time I was in so much anger, and I was in this, I hate this, I hate that. But within the word hate, I could feel me saying, I demand this. No more wishy-washy, no more wibble wobble, just I am the sovereign here. I demand this. And it was a vibration like I've never felt before. It was a vibration of
energy.
Your source, your source's solid knowing. There's nothing to be afraid here. And it was just the closest thing to that. And it was so empowering, and it felt good. Usually if I ever was in that space, I'd be like, oh, I'm vibrating wrong.
Yeah.
And that fear of that vibration and that fear. And I had said that morning, I do not want to be afraid of any aspect of myself. I refuse from here on out to be afraid of any aspect of myself. And there was this queen within that anger and that frustration. She was in there. And if I hadn't allowed myself to go there, I wouldn't have discovered her.
Yeah.
And one of the most wonderful things that I recently went through was letting my dog go, my dog of 14 years, who was if she could have been surgically attached to me, she was, we did everything together. She went through all my jobs with me together. She would go to my job. She's, we took our fun little 30-day states at 30 days, we did everything together. And so to go into releasing her from a space of where source would, source is, this is a wonderful thing. This is a gift. This is fantastic. This is the most joyful thing you've ever done for yourself. To go into that release from that mindset, holy cow, that started a whole new world for me. I was in the space, and a friend of mine said, well, make sure you acknowledge how you feel, but also see how your inner being feels. And I said, no, I'm done playing there. I'm done playing. And there's this part of me going, well, how does your source feel about that? How does your inner being
that's
feel?
Who you really are.
Yes.
Like if you don't, like, some people be like, I've got to look for something that, if there's something low vibration for you to calibrate, it's in your now. You don't have to go digging it up. So if you're already feeling steady, just ride that. For sure. Yeah.
And there was plenty of times I wasn't steady. There's plenty of times there was that heaviness and the pricking of the tears behind my eyes.
For sure.
But in those moments, I said, no. And all my teaching has always been like, no, don't defy that. Don't do that. You got to go into it. You got to do this. And I was like, you know what? If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Yes.
And I loved this decisiveness. I loved it because it was new. And there was no second guessing me in that. And that was so empowering. And so now I love using, because when the doctor gave her injection, and the doctor had to get up and run out of the room, and I just sat there and I kept expecting a feeling to come up, something to identify with, and there wasn't anything. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm in denial. It was just the word nothing, no thing that I knew of was there, and it was blossoming into something new, something I'd never felt before. And it was so amazing, this gift she gave me. And as I go forward, number one, I didn't want to tell anybody. I was like, I just don't want their slopped on me. I'm done with that. So I just went forward in my life. And when my friends were like, oh, where's Nikki? I'm like, I let her go. And I don't know if you saw, but I had or heard me telling Franny in the previous podcast, I'd been out in the desert, and I just last weekend, and I reached out to my dog and I just said, show off, show me who you are right now. And in that instant, a rainbow on my left. I mean, and we're talking, I'm out in the desert, so it spanned probably 5 miles. And I was just like, damn, show off.
Yeah, show off. Okay, I see you.
And it was just so wonderful. I was just like going, oh, wow, you're so big. But it's just to move into this space in every moment right now of, okay, I want to feel happy, but then allow what I'm feeling as a new version of happy, not searching around for the familiar happy I know.
Yes, exactly. Because if it's beyond, if it's new, it's not going to be that specific.
Yes.
It's going to be more. It's going to be, have different nuances to it, a fullness to it, maybe a surprise part of a feeling and a thought that you didn't even expect would be in that
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's the unknown. In
Yes.
the unknown. Yeah. Just in a steadiness, into the unknown of, wow, more to experience. It's new and different.
Yeah,
So
and to eagerly go into this with
Yes.
the faith that my inner being has, like, this is awesome, not the I don't recognize anything here. And when I do feel that, just going, do I want to feel that? No, hell no. And allow myself, I'm so loving the power within a hell no or a hell yes.
Yes.
I'm loving
It's
this.
so good.
And that's why I'm reaching out, because you guys, every once in a while, I'll see a whole panel of you guys talking or whatever, and one person will light up. And now I know what Abraham means by light up.
Yeah.
And it's not literally seeing a light or anything.
No.
It's just, I can't take my eyes off of them. I have this, total attention on them. And I'm like, oh, that's my next podcaster.
Yeah.
And I love that that's within every single person.
Every single person.
Every single person. I was talking with, brain fart. Anyway, it's one of the awesome people that and stuff. And the head goes, "Do you know Gina?" I'm like, yes.
Oh, like, is
Anyway,
it Raven or like, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
The name's gonna come. But she knows you, and she wants to do the book about
Rhonda Ryder.
No. She wants to do the book about raising children from the perspective of Abraham.
Tracy.
Yes.
Tracy Hutchinson. Yes, I just talked with her. She's in the UK. It was the first time we did a Zoom together. Have you interviewed her already?
I want to. She's gonna listen to this and hear her name.
Is.
Tracy, get your ass in here. Because her and I she reached out to me and she goes, I want to do a fan page for Kristen Clark Unmasked. And I went, oh my God, I love you.
Yes, that's right. I think she told me about that when I was talking. She was like,
yes.
How good does that feel? How good does that feel?
Oh my God. It
Kristen,
feels so
amazing.
Good. It feels so, and
like, this is so your jam. Like, and I know you know that, but clear. It's clear and obvious. Done deal. Anyway.
So I just messaged her on Facebook Messenger. We were chatting and we're just talking. And all of a sudden she starts telling me about this idea.
Yes.
And I went,
brilliant.
I said, you need to be on my podcast.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, no, woman. I'm like, I know where you live now.
I'm going to hunt you down.
You're going to do this.
Oh my God.
You're going to get brave and you're going to do this because it's brilliant.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. She was so, and then I saw that you did Raven's daughter. That was so cool.
Oh, yes. Oh.
But she was great because I was telling her about how I was playing with my 2-year-old grandson.
Yes.
And I was showing him affirmations, and I lifted him up onto the sink so that he could do them.
Yeah.
And she goes, you don't need to show them that. They already know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my, they're And I'm like going, that's when I told her, I was like, you need to do a podcast with me.
Yeah.
Just from that little bit of a sentence right there.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping
it's funny because I don't know which I mostly listen to like the first parts of some of your podcasts. I don't have the time to listen to all of them, but some of them I do. But there was one you were talking about, maybe it was with Raven or somebody, but about, wouldn't it be great if Abe lets kids in? It might have been with Raven. Yes. But here's the thing. I don't know if you've ever heard this segment where Abe or Esther, maybe Esther and Jerry were talking about it, but they said they actually tried that once. They had Abe with a group of kids, but the questions they asked, because they're like, can you fly? Can you do, because they don't have like these, like as adults, these big issues. You're like, give me the answer, because they're so connected. They have that, they already are in their knowing. So they're not going to ask the kinds of questions that we think they'd ask probably. Yeah. But it's really cool. The whole like talking to Raven and then Tracy about like the unschooling concept and what that really means.
Yes.
Raven filled me in. I knew when I met Raven over a year ago, I knew that she was doing unschooling, but I had my
I'm
own.
gonna write that down.
Yeah, so I had my own thoughts on what unschooling meant. I pictured like her having to like teach her Desi like from like the school curriculum. Like it literally, here's the thing, it literally did not even occur to me that the curriculum that's out there is not some kind of necessity. Like you don't have like that literally blew my mind a few months ago. And I was really, cause I'm considering like with my daughter and like, cause she is a fucking genius. Like every kid is a genius and has a genius within them and desire, but we put him in this box of you be this. And like, my daughter is not interested in science and math, and I'm not going to sit there and make her do it, but her art, cause I just let her be in her room all day as much as she wants. If she has Zoom on with school for attendance, like you can play your games or draw, and whatever. Like I just don't care. I don't care about assignments. Like I'm letting that whole thing kind of implode so that now we have let's try unschooling because her dad is still kind of adjusting to that idea. So just kind of letting it break down. But in the meantime, she's like gets to spend hours and hours and hours just doing what she does. Like at one point, every once in a while, I have this thought of like, maybe she should at least get out of her room and get some fresh air. But I'm like, no, like I trust her inner guidance system to do that. Like, I don't want her to like, there is no set structure. Anyway, and what she shared with me over only happened in this last week or week and a half, some of the art she's done. And it literally blows my mind. My friend was over yesterday and she showed it to us and Ian too. And like, we're all thinking, is she tracing this? Like, I don't want to accuse her. Like, but like, are you, so I even asked her, I'm like, are you using templates or like, and she's like, no, I just draw it. And like, it is so amazing. Like she's set, like, and I know that it's just a confirmation of she's set for life. Like, just let her do her thing.
Yes.
And just enjoy this fun, playful, nothing serious going on relationship with her. Last night, for the first time, it was so beautiful. So first of all, again, just an amazing dinner and conversation with this dear friend, Rochelle, who I haven't hung out with like that, and like to have like a conversation, like in probably over a year easily. But we've never had conversation like that ever. And Ian was in on it because Rochelle and I are super like woo woo. And Ian, over this last 4 months or so, is really starting to like, okay. And so to have him sit and listen and then engage in that conversation. And Sammy was on the couch so she could hear us talking about like mushrooms, like drugs and so, like, but just being really, and like, but also even just like talking about like us having realizations of like, oh, I get to choose what I want in my life. And I choose not that. And I choose this, and allowing ourselves to do that and allowing others. So we're just talking about it. And Sammy's, and she's just having fun on her iPad. And eventually she goes upstairs and the party ends. And I go in her room to say goodnight. And I lay down with her and she's doing good, but she starts talking and says she was upset about something and started crying. And I said, well, do you want me to help you? Do you want me to do one of my little exercises? She's never, ever done an exercise. She's really aware of what I do now with COVID, her home all day, and I'm so loud and I have clients all day. So she knows kind of what I do, and she's hearing the stories of clients and stuff that like have these amazing, like, ooh, this happened and this happened. And anyway, so she allowed me to like do it. So I had her feel that awful feeling and she was crying, and we got it was like this green energy, and I had her change the color to light blue, and she changed it to light blue, and instantly her cheeks relaxed and she got like a little bit of like she went from like to like a little smile, and then she changed it to some other texture or something, and she just got this big smile. And I go, does that feel better? She goes, thanks, Mom. And we kept going.
Oh my God, that must have felt so amazing for you.
Oh my God, I just like love you so freaking much. Anyway, so it's just wonderful. It's yeah,
Oh my God,
raising kids like from the Abraham perspective is so freeing for everybody. And it makes for such a lovely, peaceful, calm, joyful, and fun-loving household. Like, because you're not on it, like, she doesn't have chores. She can wear her same shirt for 5 days in a row. I don't care. She doesn't want to take a bath for 5 days. I don't care.
It's so, God, it's so
If her room's a
wonderful.
mess, I don't care.
I don't care. Well, and just so move into that space of trusting them.
Yeah.
Just
Allowing and trusting.
trust. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And if you really do, like what I've been seeing is evidence of that trust being so fucking well placed. So perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh my God. That is so, yeah. I mean, what are we moving into because of the amazingness that was 2020?
Yes.
I mean, I really, this, and Mark Tom's.
Yes, Mark Tom's.
I love Marcus.
He's so cute.
I know.
And I just found out from your podcast that Karen Money Williams is her maiden name. I had the same impression that you and Franny did too, or I guess Franny said she didn't think that, but like, because she knew. But like, I was like, she's like, I'm Karen Money Williams. And I was like, you go, girl. Yes, you are.
Money. That's right. I know. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. That's such a smart thing. And she's like, no, it's really my name. I'm like, do you realize how amazing what you manifested there with that?
Yeah.
But Mark was saying, he brought the whole subject of expect excellence to me. Mm-hmm. And he was saying, that he and some of his buddies, they use that term at work and stuff. And he's like, he goes, and expect excellence. He goes, this is you. And I love that he saw something in me that I did not see. And this has taken on a life of its own, this whole expect excellence. Yeah. And this is where this podcast came from. It's where something else that I'm going to be working on is coming from. And it's all of this. And I love letting this, but I also love stepping into, I only expect excellence from my reality from here on out. Yeah. And I will not tolerate anything less, because if I was a queen, I would not be tolerating. I wouldn't put out a decree and then like, I want lobster, and then they bring me chicken. No, if you're bringing me lobster, then that's that.
And that's that. No settling. Yeah.
Well, no settling, but not even considering that anything less than that could come to me. And I love inviting that, because I know that's where my inner being is. I love that. I know that's where my source self is, and going, I will not settle for myself to be anything less than my source self, which is love, which is 100% knowing. Yeah. There's nothing scary there. There's nothing to be worried about there. And oh my God, when we step into that with raising children. Yeah. Or
because they are already so connected, it can be the easiest thing. Once you decide, okay, I'm going to let go. Like, you'll just see them. They'll just thrive in front of your eyes like you didn't see before. It's not that they weren't thriving, but a parent that was interacting this way wouldn't see the thriving, would just see like, right? But once you really allow the kid to do it's incredible. It's incredible the transformations that can be made in families so it's interesting, because I got a couple situations where so I have one family I work with the whole group, right? Raven, Jay, and Desi, wonderful. Oh, I feel like there's more families coming. But right now it's also really delicious to see, there's this one client in particular I'm thinking of. She has a family, and she has 3 kids and a husband. And so I've been working with her over almost a year now too. And just with her getting steady and raising her vibration, the relationships and dynamics are all changing. It's beautiful. So she is seeing her kids, so she is letting go, right? And so the kids don't need to, right? So then I have another situation where I'm working with the teenage kid, and the parents aren't coming in, but this teenage kid is being able to find what she was started to lose track of, because you reach a certain age sometimes, or she was experiencing a lot of pressure from parents to you get your homework in. When's the homework going to go in? And what are you going to do for college? And do you going to do soccer in college? All these questions. And she's you don't have the answer until you have the answer. So don't try to answer a question you don't have the answer for before it's time, kind of thing. But she was feeling this pressure. Anyway, so her finding her steadiness and her knowing that all is well, she's got this, to be able to go back into that household with the same condition of her parents saying blah blah blah, but now her being in her steadiness and her getting to actually then realize and see, by her staying in her steadiness, that wah 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 from her parents goes away quickly. The conversations are shorter, they're fewer, they're less intense, and you don't even need to have the conversations. It's a literal change in your energy, because she noticed, like, oh, I'm not as defensive anymore. I'm not trying to explain myself. I'm not being snarky, because I know I don't need to, because I know they can be the same and I can be good. And when you can be good, they change. They change.
Oh
That's your evidence. That's your manifestational evidence. First evidence is your emotion and your ability to stay steady and connected.
Yeah.
But if that's also continue to go forward and integrated, you will see that mirror reflection will also change. It will be a changed mirror reflection, and it's beautiful, and it will evolve. It's not like, boom, it's fairy sprinkles and lollipops. No, but like, it's this evolving thing that just keeps getting a little better and a little better and a little better and a little, and then you reach this tipping point where tipping point where you like break free from trying to just get away from anything that's bad and get better. And now it's like, holy cow, this is so good, and it's getting better. Oh my God, it's so good, and it's getting better. But so for some people, then they start out, it's like, this is really shit. Oh, it's not shit. This is pretty good. Okay. Oh, this is really shit again. Oh, it's not. It's like this getting out of the shit colored glasses default that people kind of get in a rut of doing. It's peeling away that kind of triggered response so that they don't fall out of that connection so easily, so they can bring that connection and integrate it into their experience. Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's so, and yes, because you're manifesting all the time. So you manifested these people this way, and now we're undoing that manifestation. Undoing that doesn't feel right, but you know what I mean? And that was exactly, going into that death with my dog from a completely different space.
Yeah.
And I had the knee-jerk reactions. I knew how to handle death. It was sad and it's horrible and blah, 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 blah. And of course, there were so many times I woke up and I'm right on the verge of the old response. And I'm like, inner being, no, I will not go here anymore. Send me something to snap me out of this. And of course, go on YouTube. There's the perfect video from Abraham.
Yeah.
The perfect, beautiful. Exactly what I needed to hear.
Beautiful.
And it was so empowering to know that I did not have to play there anymore.
You have a choice.
I have the solid choice. It doesn't have to be slow if I didn't want it to be slow. Exactly. It was, let's go. This is what way I want my reality to be from now on. And, I'm in so much appreciation to my dog for this. Just when I think she can't give me a better lesson, and we were at the end. No, that lesson right there was the biggest, and it was the hugest, and it's the lesson that keeps on giving. And it, to know that that's within everybody and every child, and especially the children. I don't know if you saw the video where I'm trying to get my little 2-year-old to do just do a fun little podcast with me. And he lasted for maybe, I knew it was going to be the shortest podcast in the history of short podcasts. But yeah, he gets up and takes off and goes running down the hill. And I'm like, that's that. And I love that their priority is my joy, not grandma's joy, not my mommy's joy, my joy. Yeah. And there's such a beautiful representation. And I watch his mother, needing that, these children, they'll zoom you into, I got the dog barking out here. I know he's joining in on it. Yeah. We've got these children that will yank us right into the vortex easily. Yeah. And so, like dogs are great at this. And so we hold on to that, and I need you to do this for me because I can't do this for myself.
Mhm.
And I love that everything you're saying, everything Tracy's saying, because I think that's a huge part of the unschooling is
Yes.
unschooling us
Oh,
to let
100%.
go.
100, getting us to trust that, because so much of school and stuff is based on like fear and assertion, like fear that if we don't teach them the stuff that we think they need to know, like literally somebody said something like this to me the other day. We were in conversation about unschooling or something, and like, well, how will like, it's as if they think that like if kids don't learn this stuff, then like the world will break down. Like we won't be able to have power come to our house, or like who will take care, who will do construction. But like every kid, like you like my brother is a fucking genius, like no doubt. He works for the um European Space Agency. He's published in the American Journal of Science on a paper. Literally, oh my god, I just like realized a cool factor of this. His paper was on something L bands and the effect of galactic glitter on L-band rays or something. Galactic glitter. I love it. He's like glitter in space, and I'm like glitter here, right? But he's a genius. And I swear to God, when he was like 8 years old for like a birthday present, like I can remember where he was sitting in the living room and what this book looked like. It was kind of gray with white. It was like a textbook, big textbook that thick on meteorology. And he was loving it. Like he asked for this and he read that book multiple times, like from a little age. Like, don't worry, world. Like everybody being born in this world already is like, they're eager to get here because there's something they want to do. And if you think like, oh, if kids just don't go to school, they're just going to goof off. No, they're going to find what they're passionate about, like cumulonimbus clouds. And then he geeked out on computers. He was meteorology and computers and then blended together. And he was obsessed. He would spend all day in his room after school, hours, locked door, just and look what he created. And he didn't need to go to school for that. He seeked the information and taught himself before. There was no meteorology class in high school.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So like self-taught, and like trust that every kid has within them everything they need. And because they got their connection to source, and when they have a question, they'll find the answer. You might be the least resistance for that answer. They'll find it somewhere if it's not you or something. But I love Raven told me about when she was just explaining to me about the Sudbury school system, and like because that's like there's a hot seat you can find on YouTube where a lady was asking Abe about the Sudbury model, and Abe said that's the closest thing to like how we would recommend any kind of school to go on. But I almost think that they don't really recommend a school at all, really, because they say, because there's a few things that they would, so for instance, and different like schools are out there that are kind of based on that Sudbury model, but they all have their own way, which is great because that's part of the model of the school is like, follow your guide. Anyway, so I know I'm going, she was telling me about this story about this kid who was really having a really hard time in traditional school and was really acting out a lot. Like, I don't know remember the clear story of like, if he was maybe hurting himself or others, he was just like rebelling and being like really bad. And the parents were worried. So they decided to try this other school that's kind of the Sudbury school system. And it's a school where the kids get to do whatever they want or not do whatever they want. If they want to lay on the couch in the classroom all day and sleep all day, they can do that. And that's exactly what this kid did. Raven will tell the story better than I do because I'm just repeating her story to me about it. But like literally 8 months go by and he just sleeps all day. And then when school's over, he gets up and goes home. There's no assignments or anything. And finally one day he like wakes up and walks over to some kid that's on the computer and says, "What is it that you're doing?" He like, it's almost as if he spent that whole year releasing resistance and allowing himself to be like, okay, they're really gonna let me do this. Really allow himself to be released from these chains of expectations and need to and have to and should. And like, I really get to choose. I really get to choose. I really get to choose. Okay. well, let me look into that a little bit. But like really saying like allowing kids to reach the place of boredom is where you want to be. Sometimes we're still like, even Abe Hicks, it's like people that are into this work that we are into might say, okay, well, let me ask my child what inspires you and what are you passionate about, and like try to like pull it out. But that's even doing too much. And I think that's what that Abe hot seat is about, that you can find on YouTube about the Sudbury School. It's like Abe says, we would intervene or do even less. Boredom is a good place to reach because it has just like, oh, because eventually you get bored with being bored. Eventually you get bored with being bored. And then from a place of, because that boredom, you weren't making yourself doing anything. You weren't having anybody else. You're just so bored. And then when you're bored of being bored, you get the question of, what do I want to do? And it's so resistance free. It's like not what I need to do, not what I should do. What do I want to do? I want to do something. Well, let me do that. And so then what the answers to the what do I want to do comes from this pure, not outside influenced desire from within, And it's just, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful.
Well, and I love, while you were saying all that, I was thinking about when I was a little girl, if I hadn't been, I was blessed with being the youngest of 6. So that by the time, the first child, all the parents' hopes and dreams are just like,
and perfection. Yeah. By the 6th one, they're like, whatever. Do we even where'd the 6th one go?
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
How beautiful.
And they have a picture of me wandering down our big old long dirt road. They're like, where's Kristen? Where's Kristen? And there I am in my diapers, toddling down the dirt road with the German Shepherd. The German Shepherd's right by my side, checking out everything I'm stopping and playing with.
Protecting you.
And and that is who I am to this day. I am an explorer. I am an adventurer.
Yes.
I want to be checking out the new land that nobody's checked out before. Yeah. And I was realizing that. See, and if at that time, nobody, pretty much nobody did, but I was free to be me. I was free to get to know me, and nobody was ever going, so what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
Totally. Yes. And I look back over my life and I'm like, I love that I had so much freedom to just be inside of me. Yeah. I was a deep reader.
And from that relationship with yourself.
Yes.
And just follow your own guidance. It's so cool. Like, as you're telling that story, it makes me think of, I don't know if you've ever heard Abraham talk about when Esther was a little girl, her mom left her alone. And Esther would go out and play under this bush and make things with the leaves or whatever. And I don't know if Abe was direct in saying it or more kind of, I don't know the word, inferred it, that like, it was because she was allowed to have this freedom and connect with herself and talk to her guides or whatever, that she's able to even, that she was, because she didn't have this goal of channeling Abraham. But once her and Jerry started meditating, 9 months later, Abe came through. And I think it's a lot is because she just didn't have that much resistance built up. Yeah. I think that's what it is. She had less resistance than most people because of the freedom she had as a kid, for sure.
Yes. And when back in 2015, I played in channeling for a long time. And it was easy. Mm-hmm. We all were in this class with a friend of mine who's a big channeler, and he basically goes, okay, do it. And I'm like, okay. And it was so fun and it was so easy. And I loved that. And I know it has everything to do with the fact that I was pretty much free to do what, I was in boarding schools and stuff. So I'd be in math. I know, it really was. I'd be in math class doodling, doodling.
Totally.
Yeah. And they'd have a test and I'm flunking everything.
Yeah, totally.
I was free, and in 5th grade, 6th grade, being in a boarding school where you've got no adult supervision, and you're just so free, not because they want you to be, but
that's not their intent. That's how it works.
Nobody's watching me, and I'm just off in, outside playing in my imagination, and oh my gosh. Yeah, and there's so much and I'm so glad for 2020 because I think this is where we're going. I really do. I see a world where we're
I
setting
know
these
we're going
kids.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
is gonna happen with these
It's
children?
inevitable, and it's already happening, right? That we're all loosening up the grips on each other and ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, can I read you this? You might have already seen it. Oh my God. Susan Michaela. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing her last name right. You know who Susan is on Facebook because she posts a lot of funny memes too. And oh my gosh. Okay. So this is how awesome it, like, I feel like this just hits the nail on the head. It's a little meme, and somebody wrote, sometimes I think about how when my Italian grandma and Irish grandpa got together in the 50s, it was a huge scandal, right? Italian and Irish. And now my nephew Hambone is in a relationship with a Sailor Moon body pillow and no one gives a shit. Don't you see, like, so many people are finally not giving shits? And like, thank God for, like, when I think about like the LGBTQ movement and like the rainbow and the gay parade and all pride parade and stuff, like these people are just groundbreakers into like love and acceptance and being out there. And you can hate me, but I'm still going to be me. And I'm going to go where I'm welcome. And you can, like, I love seeing more and more of the I can be me, but I don't have to push against you just because you're not on board with it yet. I just won't look at you. I'll just play, right? It's people learning. We can all, like, it doesn't have to be where everybody's accepting. Like, it's like that, but everybody can be so focused on what they're loving that when they see something unwanted, it's step 5 contrast. It's like, that doesn't bother me. I just know I don't want that. I wouldn't choose that, but you go, girl. Right? Yeah. I don't know.
Yes. Well, I love that because we're so caught up in loving ourselves and being responsible for our own love and our own happiness that you do you.
You do you, boo. You do you, boo. Whatever. Happy.
Oh my gosh. All right, baby girl. I always say drop the mic on this because this has been amazing. And I love watching you go. You just set Gina free.
Yeah.
I get that image of, the dog. Somebody left the gate open and the dog is like
running and it's like in the air, like all paws off the ground, just going
off the ground
into the pile of leaves. Have you ever seen that dog that just disappears into the leaves? It's so cute. All right, I love you.
I know it's that. I love you too, honey. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for coming and playing. It has been a kick-ass morning.
Yeah.
And I will let you know when this goes up.
All right, love ya. Bye.
Love you too. Mwah.